On April 23, 2023, during Chinese Navy Day, something unusual happened. A pro-CCP Hong Kong outlet published a report questioning the propulsion system of China's Liaoning aircraft carrier. It revealed that the carrier needs 48 hours to reach combat readiness because it relies on 8 aging boilers that must heat 60 tons of water to generate the high-pressure steam needed for its turbines. And this isn't just a Liaoning problem. The Shandong and even the newest Fujian face the same issue. Soon after the report appeared, the Chinese government removed it from the internet. But screenshots spread instantly, exposing a sensitive truth. Despite their modern appearance, these carriers still depend on century-old steam technology. In short, the game was lost from the start. A steampunk relic. Some little pinks may argue, we only need 2 to 4 hours for a hot start. But modern warfare demands instant response. With hypersonic missiles and stealth aircraft in play, every second matters. U.S. nuclear carriers can become fully operational in 15 minutes once the reactor is activated. But China's boiler-powered carriers can only wait as crew members watch the pressure gauges slowly climb, unable to rush the system without risking a meltdown. This delay is a major vulnerability. While China's carriers struggle to produce steam, U.S. missiles could already be overhead. A motionless carrier is an easy target. Even drones could destroy it before it leaves port. China's power system follows 19th century logic. Burn fuel, boil water, make steam, spin turbines. To prevent boiler failure, these ships must stay in a constant heated state, basically on life support. Japan has already moved past this outdated method, using gas turbines, jet engine technology, offering immediate startup and strong performance. China's carriers, meanwhile, are stuck burning fuel to make steam. The deleted report was accurate. In a real conflict, these carriers might never leave port, turning into stationary targets. 2. Attacking Guam, a self-inflicted fuel disaster. Some nationalists claim China's carriers could break through the island chain and strike Guam. But reality says otherwise. The distance from China to Guam is 3,000 kilometers. Easy for the U.S. Navy, but risky for China's conventionally powered carriers. In wartime, the Fujian can't cruise slowly to save fuel. To dodge satellites, avoid submarines, and reach attack positions, it needs 30 knots. At that speed, fuel burn skyrockets, 5 times higher than cruising speed. And a carrier can never use all its fuel. It must keep 30 to 40% in reserve to stay stable. Below that, the ship becomes unbalanced in rough seas, and a sudden turn could even risk capsizing. When the gauge hits 40%, the captain treats it as empty. By the time the Fujian covers 3,000 kilometers, it would run out of fuel long before reaching Guam. The fleet would depend heavily on its supply ships, like the Type 901 fast replenishment ship. But if these supply ships fall behind, the fleet must slow down, or leave them, which is even riskier. U.S. Virginia-class submarines or anti-ship missiles would target these exposed supply vessels first. One torpedo could cripple the propellers or fuel lines, cutting off the entire fleet's lifeline. Even if the supply ship reaches the carrier, refueling at sea is dangerous. Both ships must sail side by side at 12 to 16 knots, connected by fuel hoses, for 2 to 3 hours. During that time, the carrier cannot launch aircraft. Its air wing is grounded and vulnerable. For carriers like the Liaoning and Shandong, which use a ski-jump takeoff, fixed-wing jets such as the J-15 would be nearly useless during refueling. To launch a heavy aircraft, the carrier must generate strong wind over the deck, usually by sailing at 25 to 30 knots. But during refueling, the ship must slow to 12 to 16 knots and move in a straight line. This 10 to 14 knot speed drop is critical. A J-15 launched under these conditions wouldn't get enough lift and would likely plunge into the sea right after takeoff. During refueling, the carrier cannot turn. If winds are unfavorable, even a small crosswind could blow a jet off course. And refueling isn't just fuel transfer. Missiles, food, spare parts, and other supplies move between ships while helicopters like the Z-8 and Z-18 shuttle cargo. Deck crews, forklifts, and equipment create powerful air disturbances. Under these conditions, launching aircraft is impossible. Even helicopters risk flipping from the turbulence. For 2 to 3 hours, the decks of the Liaoning and Fujian are completely shut down. Jets cannot launch, and any aircraft already airborne must land quickly. During this window, the carrier relies on escort destroyers for air defense and anti-submarine protection. If a US F-35 approached or low-flying cruise missiles were launched, the carrier would not be able to send interceptors. It would be exposed. Some argue the Fujian could still launch jets during refueling using its electromagnetic catapult. While technically possible, it's extremely risky. The catapult doesn't rely on ship speed, but it must face the wind. During refueling, the carrier's course is fixed and cannot adjust direction. If the natural wind isn't aligned, a catapult launch could send the aircraft sliding off track or straight into the sea. Even if the Fujian luckily faces the wind, landing remains dangerous. Crosswinds can prevent proper touchdown and push the jet off the deck. A plane launched in these conditions may not be able to return, forcing the pilot to circle until low on fuel, eject or divert elsewhere. In real combat, no commander would order takeoffs under such conditions. Once outside the first island chain, these conventional carriers lose much of their combat capability. 3. The abandoned nuclear carrier plan. Why Fujian became a patchwork. Why hasn't China built a nuclear carrier despite having nuclear submarines? China's subs, Type 093 and 094, use reactors for 10,000-ton vessels. The Fujian weighs 80,000 tons. Using sub-reactors would be a Chernobyl at sea. Even 2 subs wouldn't provide enough power. U.S. nuclear carriers cruise 30+ knots. A sub-powered carrier would struggle to reach 25 knots and risk capsizing in rough seas. China's sub-reactors are old, noisy, and vibrate heavily, interfering with radar, electronics, and catapults. Designed for underwater use, they overheat on the surface. France made the same mistake with the Charles de Gaulle. Using a sub-reactor, it ended up smaller, unstable, and had to extend the deck for planes. Vibrations even snapped a 19-ton propeller on its first voyage. China studied this mistake. Modern, quiet surface ship reactors are still out of reach, so the Fujian uses heavy oil. Smoky, inefficient, and high maintenance. China's choice is limited. Outdated steam turbines or low-power submarine reactors. Heavy oil is the only viable option to keep the carrier running. For the UK's fleet, more than just fuel. Do the UK's Queen Elizabeth-class carriers rely on supply ships? Yes, but their approach is very different. Both the UK and China need fuel, but the UK uses integrated electric propulsion, IEP. Low speeds save fuel. High speeds use the MT-30 gas turbine for strong output. With the same fuel, UK carriers go farther and operate more efficiently, while China still struggles with steam and heavy oil. The F-35B gives the UK a huge edge. It can take off with a short roll and land vertically, even at 12 knots during refueling. UK carriers remain fully operational, something the Fujian cannot match, even with an EM catapult. NATO adds another advantage. If one UK supply ship is lost, allies like the US or France can instantly resupply. China, however, has no backup network. Its Type 901 ships are the only option. Sink one, and the carrier group is stranded. In short, the UK benefits from smarter propulsion, VTOL jets, stronger endurance, and global logistics. China has raw power but suffers poor efficiency, heavy fuel use, mechanical strain, and almost no backup. A massive real-world capability gap.